Hey, how's it going, guys? It's ZDEyE here. So today I wanted to talk about Resident Evil Showcase in full details, everything that has been showcased, and just give you my opinion about it too. Now, first of all, I wanted to touch on regarding Village first, and then we're gonna get into the other aspects such as the online, the Division 2 out of nowhere that just had its own, presentation, I should say, but whatever information perhaps would have been a better word in this case. But yes, let's get into it. So in terms of the story of the Village, we now know that it's going to be basing on Ethan trying to rescue his baby daughter. And basically because we understand as well that Chris Redfield is actually the one presumably were responsible of kidnapping his daughter. We don't know, of course, what is the motivation behind that, but yes, we also know that Chris is actually the one that shot Mia multiple times, and basically she's done. Well, unless if she was something like a monster herself, then she can perhaps survive those. But still, we don't know other than this. So as such, why we actually travel to this village area, and we're trying to unsolve the mysteries, and we're trying to find, obviously, the missing daughter. Now, of course, when we will be playing Village, we will meet plenty of new characters as well. One of them is a tall lady vampire, Lady Demetrescu. Say that 5 times fast, but still, basically, she is one of the, how can I say, favorites? Personally, a lot of people have been looking up on Twitter and stuff like that, their opinions about this, and they're all saying like, I think I'm in love, and I gotta say, I think I'm in love as well. She's like 9 feet tall or something like that, I have heard as well. I might be wrong about that information though, but still, it's pretty cool. We know that she has 3 daughters, and they're all about this man blood. Obviously, they want to feast on Ethan. And for some odd reason as well, it seems like absolutely everybody, at least of all these characters in Village, they know who Ethan is. And maybe they know what he has accomplished, or maybe what he has done. But yeah, or it's also a possibility because we might be some ways mid through the game as well. It's also possible because everything that we have done at the beginning of the game maybe could have gotten us this recognition. We've gotten actually plenty of new footage as well regarding this lady. I'm not gonna even bother trying to keep pronouncing the lady's name, but yes, she was actually having a conversation through the phone with somebody, presumably somebody even higher up than her herself, by name of Lady Miranda, if that's how you pronounce it as well. But there's something a lot more conspiracy that's really going on behind the background that we don't know yet, at least not at the moment. Now, we also know as well that Village isn't exactly, I'm talking and referring to Resident Evil Village, or I should say Resident Evil 8, even though that's not exactly what they call it. This is not an 8 of a game, but instead they call it Village. It's just the way they have presented it, it looks like an 8. But yes, it makes sense. Anyway, let's continue. So basically in Village, in this case, we're not just exploring and seeing the village itself where we're going to be playing this. We're actually going to be going towards the castle as well. And yes, this is actually has a lot of resemblance to a little game we like to call Resident Evil 4. Now, mind you, everything that's been Leon Kennedy, he's the main character in the Resident Evil 4, he was actually starting off from Village, and yet it actually continues on to goes to the castle. You know, there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of resemblance between these two. And I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, because this is actually a possibility, meaning that this is in reality the Resident Evil 4 remake that we're going to be playing. A lot of people, and myself included, are looking forward to Resident Evil 4 remakes like it was done for the Resident Evil 2 remake that recently came out, and so goes with Resident Evil 3, even though it wasn't exactly favorites. But still, hopefully Resident Evil 4 remake does come into fruition, even though a lot of the ideas and things that has been already done here in the Resident Evil Village. One of the more requested and talked about features that Resident Evil 7 never really had is the variety of enemies, right? There's just malls and the characters themselves that we meet pretty much at the beginning of the game or so. In this case, actually, it's a little bit different. There's a lot more characters and there's a lot more enemies in general. One of them is some weird-looking monstrous zombies that actually can wield weapons, and you can shoot off those weapons too. And also, we have seen an opportunity of like a giant-looking monster with some sort of a sledgehammer. And the rest is actually werewolves too, and of course we cannot forget the vampires, some kind of witches as well. Now, of course, there are a few things that we didn't get a chance of yet seeing from this presentation, but I'm sure when you'll be playing it for yourself, you will find out something more and extra. You know, for some odd reason, they even had to mention it regarding a blocking mechanic. Well, as if we never had that since the Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Now, in this case, you can actually block simultaneously whenever you get a hit. Right after, you can actually kick the enemy out of the way. It's not necessarily to kill them or knock them out completely, but I would say just to stagger them so you can actually get your bearings back up and, you know, able to continue your fight or whatever you need to be doing. In this case as well, I can't say for certain if this is something like a revolutionary or was even supposed to be like a mind of like, oh my god, it's a brand new feature for this game. It really is not. You know, the combat as well, they kind of touched on that the combat of a melee combat specifically, it's gonna be improved. Now, everything that I've seen, it really was not it. That was nothing improvement on that overall. It's just same old of like was presented in the Resident Evil 7. Now again, I don't know if you guys are considering that as a bad thing. Personally, for me, you know, I think they should have done a little bit more in terms of their melee combat, but okay. Now, there's other things been already confirmed too. The game, or I should say this game, is gonna be centered a lot more in the combat. Now, Resident Evil 7, if you guys are aware, it was never really all about the combat. And perhaps maybe that's why people loved it so much too. In this case, this way, Ethan isn't exactly going to be completely helpless and just simply running away from the enemies. Now, there are going to be a certain extent to that degree, because obviously there are some enemies you will not be able to shoot them down with just bullets. You're going to have something of a bigger punch, and as such, you will need to be running away in some sort of aspects and scenarios. The other change that has been introduced in this game, it was actually the inventory system. And it actually has a very similar resemblance to the Resident Evil 4. They even mentioned it themselves. I actually like this far more. I like the way you kind of have to reorganize of your weapons and your inventory, your ammunition, your knife in the little space in the inventory that you have here. Now, I'm sure you're gonna get those upgrading systems and stuff to increase that space so you can carry more stuff, and maybe like say like a shotgun, you will need to put in like about 8 spaces of squares that you need to put in. You know, it's like a little puzzle. You have to solve it for yourself and the way you need to organize it. I really like that. You know, you kind of have to pause and think for a second at least. And I really appreciated the stuff in the video games that has been introduced. In Resident Evil 7, so goes for the Resident Evil 2 and 3, the newer versions of course I'm talking about, they never had any of this sort of thing. Basically, as soon as you picked up an item, it automatically just simply places into that specific inventory. Some of the, you know, items that you would pick up, they would require 2 spaces to be filled in, and so you need to manage your inventory. This is the same here in the village, but this time the weapons take up far more, or I should say far greater spaces, because obviously the bigger the weapon, the more space it will be required for it to be able to carry them. And as such, this means that you will need to sacrifice some other things. Or you can just stop with the weapons, go, I don't know, knife only as an example, but at least you can carry plenty of other stuff then in this case. It's also nice actually to see that the crafting mechanic is here as well, that you can pretty much craft bullets, health, and yeah, that's always a good feature for a video game, I personally think. I have already touched on this, such as the characters and the enemies, but now I don't know if this individual is considered to be an enemy, but he definitely is a character, the Duke. Basically, he's a character, has a lot of resemblance to the merchant from the Resident Evil 4. Capcom, or specifically the developers, even mentioned them themselves, of highlighting that this character is gonna have many different, you know, styles or personalities whenever you will be going through the game. It's also been touched on that you will actually meet this character multiple times through the game too. Of course, it's up to you if you want to go and purchase new things, buy some things, sell some things or whatnot, upgrading, so there. Alright, let's get into something other than the village, well, Resident Evil Village. I want to talk about the demo. So I have actually experienced it for myself already. It's about, give or take, 20 minutes of experience, a completely free demo, only available for the PlayStation 5 by the name of Maiden. So all you do is simply step in the shoes of a maiden. You are trying to escape this area, this place. Spoilers, you just basically end up killed at the very end. You get captured by the lady. I think you know what I'm talking about. The tall lady. Maybe I should rephrase that a little bit better. And anyway, so all you really do in this is simply escape. You have to be quiet in some sort of aspect. Let me explain. Basically, there is no combat, there's no blocking, no punching, no nothing. All you can do is simply escape. Again, this is just a demo. Capcom already also announced that there will be a second demo for all of the people to experience on all of the platforms, and that demo is actually going to be different. It's not going to be about the maiden, but perhaps it will be more concentrated towards the combat and Ethan. But again, we don't know, and it will be coming later down spring. Now, I want to get into the additions that will be available for the Resident Evil Village as well. Now, there is some kind of obscure as well. Basically, on the PlayStation, if you want to order a Resident Evil Village, you can actually get Resident Evil 7 as well. That's, of course, if you go for the complete bundle. Again, guys, it should be worth noting that it is actually available for the PlayStation Plus collection and Xbox Game Pass, the Resident Evil 7. So it's not exactly you're gonna get something brand new. But again, you will be receiving Resident Evil Village when it does come out on May 7th, 2021. There will be also a pre-order bonus, such as will be including Raccoon Weapon Charm, Survival Resource Pack that this kind of looks like contains a health vial, shotgun shells, bullets, as well as some kind of a maybe lock picking. Oh yes, it is a lock picking as well. If you order Resident Evil Village Standard Edition, you will be receiving a mini soundtrack with your PlayStation. But if you order this on any other platforms, you will not be receiving soundtrack. Next up is the Digital Deluxe Edition. Now this is a little bit controversial. Let me get into it first. So what it will, have: Samurai Edge Weapon Skin, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard inspired found footage screen filter, tape recorder, it's something like a save point option basically, safe room music by the name of Go Tell Aunt Rhodey. Mr. Everywhere Weapon Charm automatically unlocks a Village of Shadows difficulty. Now this is the weird one. Why is there a difficulty behind a paywall? The Tragedy of Ethan Winter's artwork as well. Now this Village of Shadows difficulty is actually the highest difficulty and it's locked behind paywall. This is not exactly acceptable in my opinion. Anyway, let's continue to the collector's edition. This actually will be including everything that I have already mentioned from the Digital Deluxe Edition, but also Chris Redfield figurine, 64-page hardcover art book, steel bookcase, and also cloth map of the village with art on the reverse side. Everything will be contained in this weird-looking box. Next up, I want to get into and talk about everything else that was announced in the Resident Evil showcase. One of them is the Resident Evil Reverse, was actually announced, basically multiplayer. You will be able to play as the iconic characters from the game. And I gotta say this, I am completely not interested. It feels like it's been rushed, it doesn't look very good, and not in terms of the graphics, but in terms of everything I've seen from this. I'm not interested, but it will be available for free whenever you purchase Resident Evil Village. If you guys did not know, this is actually something for the Resident Evil's 25th anniversary, that this is the existence of Reverse. A little bit of a surprise though, like I've touched on at the very beginning of the commentary, Ubisoft made a surprise cameo on the Resident Evil stream. So, with the Division 2, developer Massive confirmed a crossover event that will be bringing Resident Evil themed earnable items to the Division 2 for only a limited time though. So, people can log into this event from February 2nd to 15 to earn Leon Kennedy's RPD outfit. And I believe this may be the last thing, and that's worth noting at least, Resident Evil Netflix movie tease. Now this is actually very exciting. We do know it will be coming sometime in 2021 as well. That will be actually all about Leon Kennedy and Claire herself. Now this is going to be interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to this movie. Capcom also touched on that they're working on the Resident Evil TV series with the Netflix as well, which is to tell a brand new story in the universe. So that's gonna be interesting. Well, that was all for the showcase. In overall, showcase was not lengthy at all, like maybe half an hour length, maybe something like that. And the presentation was, scripted in some part, but the gameplay was very poorly done. Especially when they were talking about, if you see a red barrel, what do? Shoot at it. Yeah, first shot was actually looked like on purposely missed, but we already know it was not. Basically, whoever was playing this game, I don't think they even knew how to hold a controller. I don't like the way this Digital Deluxe Edition maximum difficulty has been locked behind a paywall. Extremely dumb move. I don't think it's very smart at all. Reverse is what's the point of that? Like, the multiplayer mode for it, because like everybody's looking forward to Resident Evil Village, maybe even the Netflix show as well, but other than that there's nothing else to be looking forward to here. But still, I am definitely looking forward to seeing more of the Resident Evil Village, because I want to see proper raw gameplay that's not been edited out or clipped out. And again, yet I don't know what to make out of this, and if I will be purchasing it on day one or not. Because let me tell you, everything that I have seen does not scream for me to be pre-ordering it or even picking it up on day one. I will need to see more gameplay, like I already mentioned, and I need to see reviews. And yet, even if the reviews are going to be fantastic, I feel like I'm only going to be playing this game after 2 to 3 years, just the same way I did with the Resident Evil 7. But yeah, that's just my opinion. Tell me down in the comments, guys, are you looking forward to this game, or are you just as me, like kind of expecting a little bit, at least some of it, managing your expectations? Alright then, thank you so much for watching, like and subscribe, see you guys all, and have a wonderful day.